Welcome to the Know, I'm Jenkins. Welcome back from E3. There's a whole bunch of news to get caught up on. First and foremost, after all that controversy over Mass Effect 3's endings, it looks like Bioware is just not going to bother with them for Mass Effect Andromeda, so that's good news, right? Speaking with Eurogamer about whether or not your galaxy-changing red, blue, or green antics would be reflected in Andromeda, Bioware studio boss Aaron Flynn said, "We acknowledged it in the endings of Mass Effect 3, and I think that's where we want to leave it for now." No kidding. He went on to say that we want this to be a new story, and it would be very hard to say it's a new story, but also that you need to understand how the past trilogy ended. Well, I guess it's a good thing that none of that really mattered anyway, right? The more we hear about this game, less, considering it barely showed up at E3, again, it's hard not to wonder if the game's development is just maybe in a little bit of trouble. Maybe we'll see sometime before it's scheduled to come out in early 2017. They did promise us some information sometime this year. They did, like they do every year. So we'll see. One of the other curious E3 no-shows was Sony's new PlayStation 4 Neo, the upgraded console which will focus on 4K graphics and virtual reality. Prior to last week's event, Sony said it wanted to focus on its core gaming experiences with no indication as to when we'll be seeing the new console. However, a new report from Eurogamer claims that the Neo will release before the end of 2016, that's this year, despite the console not having any presence at E3. According to them, this was confirmed by multiple independent sources. That would give Sony's high-powered console an entire year's head start over Microsoft's Scorpio. Not great timing on your part, Microsoft, if this comes to pass. Sucks to be behind a year. Just ask the PlayStation 3 from last generation. But of course, we'll just have to wait and see. If any of this is true, Sony doesn't have very many opportunities left to showcase its new hardware, especially considering they'll also be trying to tell their customers about virtual reality at the same time, and that's a lot to market. We've all known that Valve is incredibly keen on virtual reality, thanks to their headset Vive in partnership with HTC, but new comments from a Valve employee shed just a little bit more light on how important the technology is to the company. They're going like PlayStation levels here. In a Reddit thread about VR over the weekend, Valve employee Alan Yates revealed that as much as 1/3 of the company is now working on VR or AR research. Yates said, "I was super fortunate to start at Valve right around the time Michael Abrash had begun the AR/VR research team. It was a much smaller team than it is now. It has since grown to encompass about 1/3 of the company." Considering that Valve has somewhere in the neighborhood of 350 employees, that means about 100 are working on just virtual reality, and probably a total of 5 on the next Half-Life installment. We'll never stop talking about that. Now that Overwatch is far and away one of the most popular multiplayer games on the market, it's only natural that it would make itself a target for hackers to do a little bit of trouble. The game was reportedly taken offline by a DDoS attack earlier this week, which also disrupted services for games like Hearthstone, World of Warcraft, Heroes of the Storm, and Diablo. In case you're wondering, it was targeting Battle.net. That's what they all have in common. But come on, we all know Overwatch was the one people cared about. That's the one that people are going nuts over. As for who caused the attack, well, a member of who else but Lizard Squad is claiming responsibility for the outages. This happened via Twitter, where a user who's had links to Lizard Squad in the past made a number of tweets about the outages just before and after they happened. The user even indicated he was doing players a favor. Classy as always. That's what you get when you deal with reptiles. Unfortunately for you Overwatch fanatics, this appears to be just a test before an even bigger outage that will supposedly be coming soon. Mighty No. 9, the troubled Kickstarter game from Mega Man creator Keiji Inafune, is finding itself under a different kind of attack. Video game critics. Whole different beast, but also scary. Reviews for the game are coming in, and so far, unfortunately, they're not very favorable. At the time of writing this, Mighty No. 9 is averaging a 56 on Metacritic, adding to its long list of misfortunes. Seems like you have to try to get a Metacritic score that low. It can't just happen by accident. You really gotta work at it. Mighty No. 9 has been hit with a number of delays, controversy over a poorly made ad that insulted its own fanbase, thousands of YouTube dislikes, and problems with the game's community manager over the last few years. So, at this point, it's not exactly a poster child for crowdfunded video game success stories. I guess the new saying will be, loneliest Mighty No. 9 on prom night. You weren't that, come on. The Warcraft movie may have had a lonely prom night when it first opened in the United States, but that hasn't stopped it from going on to become the belle of the ball and the highest grossing video game movie ever globally. Not a huge bar to clear there, considering the competition was 2010's Prince of Persia, you know, the movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, but let's give it credit where credit's due. Warcraft's box office success is mostly fueled by its international release, with China contributing $200 million to the film's $377 million worldwide. In China, the film has even beat out The Force Awakens in its record-breaking run, which, now that's impressive. Even though the movie is a financial success for Legendary and Universal, it does remain to be seen if we'll get a sequel or if director Duncan Jones would continue to be involved. The studio is no doubt happy about the money made overall, but I'm sure they would have preferred if it did a little bit better stateside. But maybe Duncan Jones can make a sequel to his fantastic film Moon, especially now that it seems, you guys, we've got another one. We have another moon. That's right, the Earth is technically got a new moon now according to NASA. Our brand new moon, although it's actually been hanging around for something close to 100 years apparently, according to scientists, comes courtesy of an asteroid that's been captured in the Earth's gravitational field. This micro moon is a lot smaller than its big brother, measuring at only like 120 feet across and 300 feet wide. Hey, do we have a conversion for that? We'll make a conversion for that, for the thing, because we like the metric system. It's a nice system. It wanders a good bit further away than our current moon as well, at about 100 times the distance. NASA says they expect that it will keep us company for at least the next few centuries before we make it get its own damn apartment and go to college or whatever moons do these days. Twitch is finally taking legal action against Twitch bots, or more specifically, the people and companies who operate them. Over the weekend, Twitch filed a lawsuit against 7 groups associated with bots that prop up viewer and subscriber numbers on its services. In the lawsuit, Twitch argues that the bot sellers disrupt Twitch's model by promising streamers that their money-making potential will increase more quickly than it should, and also making it harder for viewers to find better content. Among the allegations are federal trademark infringement, unfair competition, cyber squatting, fraud, breach of contract, and tortious interference, which is clearly the worst kind of interference. They're also asking for the transfer of all domains of these bot sellers to Twitch, legal fees, and punitive damages. It's a pretty strong legal stance to defend their property, and you gotta kind of wonder just how many streamers out there are gonna start losing fake subscribers. You don't want to be that guy. That's embarrassing. And sadly, our last bit of news is about the passing of Anton Yelchin, the actor who played the Russian specialist Chekhov in the newest Star Trek movies. The 27-year-old actor died in an apparent freak car accident outside of his home in Los Angeles over the weekend. A number of his friends and co-stars have sent their well wishes over social media since his death. J.J. Abrams, who directed Yelchin in Star Trek and Into Darkness, said of the actor in a handwritten note, "You were brilliant, you were kind, you were funny as hell, and supremely talented, and you weren't here nearly long enough." Well, that closes out our roundup today, but please do us a favor and leave your fondest memories of Chekhov in the comments. That makes me so sad. He was really good and he was really cute.
He was super young too.
He was so young. And a Jeep, man, that sucks. Look, I got all teary. Just think about it.